we have talked about posture and how the position your body is in can affect your joints and cause you pain. The second thing that we've talked about are stretches and how it helps mobility and decrease that joint pain. And the third thing we're going to talk about are exercises. Exercises really help strengthen the joint. It strengthens the muscles and holds the joint into place. So we're going to cover 4 good exercises to help you with your back pain.
Let's talk about Mackenzie extension exercises. These exercises are really good at restoring that natural hollow that lives in your low back, that natural lordosis that lives in your low back, that so often gets reversed when we sit for a long time throughout the day or in the car. So this is what those exercises look like. Easiest to do it on the floor or on your bed. What you're going to do is lay face down and put your elbows right up next to your armpits, right below them. And then you're going to come all the way down into the face down position. Now, the easier part of this exercise, or the beginner part of this exercise, is to push up through the elbows. Those of you that have a significant amount of back pain, this might be the easiest thing for you. Now, you're only going to want to hold this top position for about 2 to 3 seconds, and then you're going to relax, relieve tension, come back down into the face-up position, and repeat that 10 times. Now, the more advanced or more flexible part of this exercise is putting the hands right by the armpits, kind of like a push-up, and you're going to keep your pelvis nice and flat on the table. Push through the hands, keeping the pelvis nice and flat on the table until your arms are fully extended. Same thing, you're going to want to hold that for 2 to 3 seconds, come back down to the face-up position, and re-perform. Like I said, this is a great exercise that pushes passive extension into the low back area. It helps reverse some of those chronic postural changes that can happen throughout the day.
About the bird dog exercise. This is a great exercise to stabilize that low back and pelvis. It really targets these low back muscles here and even the upper back muscles. So what I'm going to have you do, you're going to go on all fours here, and I want your shoulders to be in line with your wrists and your hips in line with your knees. And what you're going to do, you're going to raise one arm and one leg at the same time. So I'm going to lift my right arm and my right leg at the same time here. And what I'm going to make sure while I'm doing that, I'm keeping my core activated and tight, and that my back is nice and flat. So I'm not letting my gut fall, my hips rock back. I'm nice and tall in between the shoulder blades, the back is nice and straight, and the core is active. So at the same time, I'm going to raise both of these. Good, and you'll hold it for a second, and then you're going to come down. It's really important when you do this that you don't let your hip drop. You want to be parallel, you want that core activated and that back nice and strong. So once again, you're going to lift them at the same time. Good, hold for a second, and bring it back. So many of you, this may be too easy, and one way to make it harder, when you bring these out, you can draw shapes. So we can do circles, we can do squares, then we can come back and then do the same thing on this side, do circles, and then square. It's a little harder, it's a little more challenging, but the goal is to keep the core tight, the back nice and straight.
Talk about the glute bridge exercise. Now, this is a really important exercise that we talk about all the time with our patients, because so often when people bend forward and lift something up, or they're doing a squat or a deadlift, they're putting a lot of pressure on their backs. They're using their backs a lot, which is a good thing, but they're not using their glutes as much. Your glutes are meant to drive and complement and be the primary mover when you're using your back. So we want to use those as much as possible, take as much pressure off the back as possible. So let's go over the glute bridge real quick. Get into a face-up position, bring your legs up, put your heels up, and what you're going to do here is the first part of this exercise is I want you to drive your low back down into the table. And what I always tell patients is pull your belly button towards your tailbone. So in order to do that, you have to actively engage your core. And what that's going to do is going to push your back down into the table. You should feel your back pushing on the table when you do this exercise. Now what that's going to do is take all the extension out of the low back. So when we do push up through our heels, we're getting activation here and not here. We're trying to isolate the glute area and get them to turn on or work more so. So what we're gonna do, drive the back down to the table, and then I always have patients put their hands kind of right on the sides of their glutes here so they can test themselves. We're gonna drive down to the table and then get strong right at the glute level. So you can put a couple fingers right on the glute so you can feel whether or not you're getting contraction there. And as soon as you start to raise up, you should feel your glutes get strong. And you're gonna come up until you get to the parallel position here. Same thing, I mean, you really want to feel contraction through here. Now that would be 1 repetition, and we would repeat the whole cycle. Drive the back down, get strong through the glutes, drive through the heels, and bring it up. Now you can make this exercise a little more challenging if you raise one leg when you are in the upright position. So we're going to drive the back down, we're going to get strong through the glutes, we're going to drive through the heels. I feel we're strong here. Now what I'm going to do is extend that left leg. And it gets challenging. I'm going to try to keep it as parallel as possible. The whole time we're focusing on that right glute. That should be firing real strong. And we shouldn't be getting a whole lot of activity out of the low back. We will have some, but we want most of the activation coming from the glutes.
The dead dog exercise focuses on the core. It really engages the core and strengthens it so that it takes the pressure off the low back here. So in order to do that, I'm going to have you lay down on your back. Your knees are going to be bent. And what I want you to do, I want you to activate this core. In order to do that, you're going to take your belly button and push it towards your tailbone. So just like this, and you're going to feel your low back pushing against the floor or the surface below you. And then you're going to extend your arms up, and you're going to take your right arm and extend it back while lifting the opposite leg, so my left leg here. But you're going to do it at the same time. So activate the core, push it against the surface, and drop your arm and raise your leg. Good, and we're going to do it on the other side. Good. So this is a nice, easy option. If you're not getting much of an exercise with it, we can make it a little advanced. So arms are raised, your belly button is towards the tailbone, and you're going to bring your legs to 90 degrees here. Same thing, you're going to take your right arm and you're going to drop it back, and your left leg is going to extend, all while keeping your core tight. Good. Just like that. This is just more of an advanced option if the other way was a little too easy for you, but it's all about engaging the core.